My name is Maria Harrington. I work at the University of Central Florida, where I'm an assistant professor of digital media. My research interest is on immersive informal learning application design and development. I'd like to introduce the AR Perpetual Garden app. It's also available on Apple iTunes and Google Play stores. It was inspired by the traditional dioramas at the Carnegie Museum, both in the creation process and application. This paper may be of interest to researchers and practitioners alike. First, as a way to understand and generalize the critical design factors that we found are correlated with actual learning, as well as the process we use to create it in intrinsically motivated learning. So I call this the learner user experience design process, or the LUX process. Museum dioramas represent knowledge. These are knowledge artifacts that were designed and created to communicate science and information about the natural world to the public. Other examples of these knowledge artifacts are botanical prints or glass flowers. So let's look at traditional annotation methods of the dioramas of the past. They were annotated with facts, with signage and booklets, as well as interpretive narratives, usually in a face-to-face or person-to-person tour led by a docent or a curator, someone who could take the facts and put them into an organizational structure of concepts and then communicate it in a narrative. And so these were the attributes that we were looking to build upon, best practices of the past, and transfer that into the design of the augmented reality app. There's an additional dimension of time. How did we do this? There were 3 cycles of review in the design process to intentionally and deliberately increase the information fidelity, the accuracy, and the truth value, as well as the salience for learning for the public. And this 3-cycle process is highly iterative and collaborative. The first cycle deals with the scientists, the second one deals with the artists and the scientists working together, and the third is the programmers and the testing and the validating of the software from a usability standpoint, as well as the learning outcomes that could be measured. These knowledge artifacts are the result of this process. This is a photograph of the AR Perpetual Garden in the Hall of Botany last summer. And what I love about this is the virtual springtime flowers cascade out of the traditional diorama, and they actually cover the entire gallery floor. So they transform it into this realistic and believable multi-sensory springtime woodland environment. It also represents what an expert scientist could imagine because they have the knowledge. This tool allows the information, the knowledge-infused, high information fidelity imagination of an expert in a domain to transfer that image and that knowledge and all that sensory information to a naive individual, and they get to experience it the way the expert does. So let's measure the impact on actual learning. It was about 40% gain in either condition and about 9 minutes in either condition. So both resulted in learning, and the AR app performed as well as the traditional booklet, which I think is a success. All right, what are the factors in that design that cause that learning? The actual learning, 40%, was statistically significantly and slightly positively correlated to the plant info, the facts, as well as the story. And this makes sense because in order to really learn, you do need access to the data, and the data has to be placed into context, which is the narrative, right? What was interesting is that the perceptions were different than the actual, and there were all these intercorrelations that were going on linked to the story. And this is an area open for more analysis and work. But the takeaway is that if you were building an immersive application for actual learning, then you need to have a way for that user, that learner, to access the facts and access the story. Broader impact means taking it out of the lab and actually deploying it. So it's available. Please search for it and download it. And if you have any questions, please feel free to email me at maria.harrington@ucf.edu. I hope to hear from you soon.